What's that?
Like, you ever find like a little crevice in the game where like a music is playing, like just a little crevice, and you're like, yo, this shit kind of cool. I'm gonna just sit
Yeah,
right here. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
For a minute.
yeah, yeah. It reminds
That's
me
what.
of what's that game? Persona 5. Like any place in Persona 5,
Honestly, honestly,
any place.
honestly, I remember when I was first, like when I decided to not stream games, I was I was playing some shit, and I really wanted to just sit there, and I was moving in the menus, and the music was playing, and I was like
Yeah,
moving in the menus to the beat, and I did not want to leave. I was having fun doing that shit. I was like, damn, but my viewers didn't come for this. You know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm saying?
But I swear I know. I swear I know what game you're talking about. I feel like it's so many games. I know one game menu where I did not move for a good hour and actually tweeted the person who made the song and said, "If I ever come up, I really need you to do my theme song." It was Spider-Man Miles Morales. There is no reason that intro song should
Oh
have gone so hard, bro. It
yeah,
went so hard, man.
yeah. It's an orchestral slapper. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes. Who does that? Who does
No,
that?
that's why music games will always have a place in my heart. Honestly,
I got a list of them. A
honestly, I
list of
love
them.
it. I was playing one called Melatonin. Actually, that's the latest one I was playing. Um, Given the name, it's supposed to be like a cool little vibe. And you just like it's simple, but like, obviously it's a game hard, difficult, and you're just like catching a vibe, like on some lo-fi beats type shit.
Yeah.
So good. But it's Sunday.
It is Sunday. I'm glad it's Sunday, man. This year has gone by. Like, we've had so many things happen. I cannot believe. I feel like I looked up and here we are at the end of 2024, man.
Real
Lots of
2024.
great stuff in gaming. Lots of not so great stuff in gaming.
Yeah,
Sometimes it feels like the not so great stuff outweighs the great stuff, but
it's it's been a lot, right? It's really been this year. This year really, it really got shit going for the better and or for the worse.
yeah.
Like this is where it all started with this gaming shit. It is the final stretch. Said Dark Wolf Lord. Dark Wolf Lord. You're the
Shout
Lord
out.
of the Dark Wolf, or are you a Dark Wolf that is also a Lord?
Either or, he is a general in the army of the Church of New Game Plus, and I am always glad to have him here. Yeah.
Remember,
A member. General. He's running it. Church historian. Yes, yes indeed.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Ready to move into 2025? Yeah, kind of, sorta. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind taking my time in 2024, just a little bit. I would like to leave 2025. I mean 24 behind, but like I need some time, a little bit of time, a little bit of time. That's all good. Today, we're gonna have a little chat, as we do every Sunday. We're talking about some video games. We're talking about some video game discussions and discourse that's going on. And this time, it's about forced diversity. You've seen it. You've seen the phrase. You've been online in the comment section or a post or a review. When the phrase forced diversity pops up and they exclaim that they hate it, tired of it, they hate
Yeah.
games. I think that it's something that in 2024, speaking of the year, is just something that just came about out
Yeah.
of nowhere. All of
Yeah.
this forced diversity in video games. Diversity is cool, but when it's forced,
When it's forced.
that's when it's terrible. Have you heard of this term at all?
I mean, where haven't I heard it? I mean, any video game nowadays that comes out that includes a person of color or a person who might be part of the LGBTQ plus community, the first thing that people talk about is why are they forcing this and shoving this down our throat, which is a very interesting metaphor for them to use. But it just you can't escape it now, and it's to the point where like literally I am terrified when a new game comes out that doesn't include any of the wonderful characters we have in the background, as a main character because these people lose their mind. And like I've really worked to be patient about it, to be understanding, to say, you know, not everybody has access to the best levels of education. Like I try to like be cool with it, but like it's to the point where it's so pervasive that it's taking over the algorithms across all platforms, and there has to be some sort of counterbalance to this. So I think it's a really important thing to talk about because forced diversity does not exist. It's not a real concept. It's not real in any sense of the word.
Which goes into my next question, okay? What is actually forced diversity? What are they saying? What is this definition that they have in their heads? What are they trying to complain about when they're complaining about forced diversity on paper? Like, well, just the blatant stuff. We'll get into the subtext of it all a little bit later. But their initial upfront complaints for forced diversity, what even is that? What does that look
I mean, so I went and found a Chat GPT definition of it because I thought maybe the AI can help us understand. So I
like?
asked,
It
you know,
might.
what is forced diversity? And ChatGPT says forced diversity is a term used by critics to describe the inclusion of diverse characters, backgrounds, or narratives in media, such as movies, TV shows, books, or games, that they believe feels artificial, inauthentic, or included solely to meet perceived social or political expectations rather than to serve the story organically.
Okay. So Chat GPT basement dweller said that it's when it appears to be artificial, which
Mm-hmm.
is another thing that you will see when someone's talking about forced diversity. The next thing they'll say is like ESG, check
Mm-hmm.
boxes, approval ratings, etc. So they're saying forced diversity is diversity, and we'll talk about what the diversity is, right? But anyway, what they talk about DEI, talk
Mm-hmm.
about diversity that is in a game purely to push, or as they would say, pander to those groups inauthentically. That's the
Right.
only reason why they're in the game.
Mm-hmm.
What do we mean? There is a black character in this game. There is a gay character in this game. That's really that really be it. But they don't really talk too much about an Asian character in the game, I guess. But
Right.
there are these characters in the black characters in the game, gay characters in the game. Why are they here? I think James said there's a little bit of crackling going with the mic again. But that's what I see. Talk about the diversity as far as women, black people, sexuality, I guess. Those are the things. If they see that in the video game, then that's considered diversity, and oftentimes, in their eyes, forced diversity.
Yeah.
I think it's out. I think I hear it. I think you're good. I think you're good now. But what is
Yeah.
that? What is that's what they're saying? Forced diversity. What?
I think the only way that you can make that statement, though, is if you completely ignore the historical context of gaming. You'd have to completely ignore that for, I mean, again, in this background image you have, it really proves it, that like for the longest time, video games have included one specific type of character. And I'm not trying to, you know, be racist or anything by saying this, but
This is
like
fact.
it's been consistently white male heterosexuals on a power fantasy, and like just look at the people in the background, like that's what it's been. And so to say that it's forced is the problem, but I think what they're getting confused with is that it's not a forced, it's now I will say this, it is an intentional effort. If you want to call that forced, then we can just argue over what the definitions of words mean, but like it's an intentional effort to broaden the characters that we see in video games because the demographics of video games have changed, which I would think that that would be something that someone would be happy about.
But if the demographic change, okay, let's say I'm a background character, all right, and so I'm one of these back in the background characters. does that mean I get less of these characters? And if that's what that means, I'm upset about it. Okay, if for some reason growing up, all characters were about people in LA, and I get to see LA and I love LA and it's always sunny, I'm saying it's nice, it's fun, it's really fantastic. Um, and then they start making shows about New York. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Does that means just mathematically that I get less shows about LA, and I want to be in LA? So why are you forcing this setting change to boost New York tourism? Like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we trying to trick the world into thinking that like New York is a cool place to go, or like, what are we doing? That's the way
Or
they see
that
it.
there's more than just gangsters that live in New York, because again, when we have this conversation, if another person brings up CJ from San Andreas, I'm gonna lose it,
We
man. Like
already
I
got
really
those
am.
characters.
You already have them. We got what's his name, Barrett from Final Fantasy. Remember
Barrett
him? He was great.
Bridges when he
He was
talks.
great. Yeah,
You got LeBron James. You got uh, you got Def Jam Fight for New York. We love those games. We love NBA Street, Stretch,
yeah,
Afro.
yeah.
We love those games. So it's not that
Madden.
we're racist.
Yeah,
It's not that we're racist, right? When Tiger Woods was on PGA Golf Tour, we still bought the game. It's
yeah.
just, why are they in fantasy settings? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, since when has fantasy settings all of a sudden had these different characters?
For
That's what
sure.
they feel like.
For sure. Orcs are okay. Fairies are okay. But like when you start throwing in black people, like I mean, clearly you're just trying to pander to a
Right.
specific audience.
Because you got to think back into real life, right? If you go back in time, if you go back to medieval times, black people was not writing dragons. They was not
Mm-mm.
writing spells. they, was,
Nuh-uh. Uh-uh. It was on. Yeah, you're right.
they
Keep
weren't
preach.
tavern odors. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
those things were not a thing. So like, why are we trying to make sure? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we doing that? It's historically inaccurate
Right.
when it comes
Right.
to
Right.
forced diversity.
Yeah.
Right. Here's their next thing. So boom, we already are seeing forced diversity in games. We're seeing these minorities, etc., in situations when clearly uh, that's not what we used to get. So they see that and they say, "Damn, things are changing. People are infiltrating our games, but they're doing this purely to get a bigger audience."
Hmm.
Why do you think that they are intentionally, because they are choosing to add different characters, to add diverse cast of characters and different backgrounds and stuff? Why are they choosing to do this? Because we both agree that they are choosing to do
Right. And doing it intentionally and loudly in front of everybody's faces for sure.
it. Right.
I think for the same reason that movies are. I mean, and if you, I know a lot of people did not like She-Hulk at all, but
I
the
did.
ending of She-Hulk when she sat in the room and talked to whatever the name of that robot was, and
Mm-hmm.
went through how you've had this character with daddy issues, this character with daddy issues. Like the reason that they're doing it is because there are no more stories to tell from this perspective. You've done it. You've beat it into the ground. And these same gamers will complain that stories are boring now. They're predictable. They know what's going to happen. In order to have diverse stories, you need diverse characters. You need to put yourself into the shoes and experience of someone who does not look like you. We've done it. We've been doing it. We've been doing it.
Ain't that
We've been
Batman?
putting ourselves into Batman shoe. I've been Batman 1,000 times.
I
I've
love
been
Night City.
Superman. I've been a cop with a drug problem. I've been a cop stamping out drug problems. I've been
Space
able to
cop.
have the power of a space god. I've been all of these things. I've been a space marine. And like I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing that over and over and over again. And like at some point, man, and again, I know we're going to get to this later, so I won't jump to it. But at some point, we have to get to what the deeper meaning of this is, because I would much rather them just come out and start saying this stuff with their full throat and chest, say how you actually feel, instead of hiding behind words like DEI and forced inclusion. Just say what's on your mind. I'll say it with you. Just say it. I'm tired. I'm so tired of it. These people have everything given to them. The world is created for them. And it's so frustrating that, like, just even the smallest change, it blows their mind.
And it's not even just, you know, they want to tell different stories, right? Also, people want to tell their stories now, right?
Right.
Not, video games are being made by tons of people. One person is right now making their own video game. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to launch it by themselves. Like, that person may not look like a person that's in the background. He may have it. He want to tell his story. You know what I'm saying? Like, he lived on an island growing up. You know what I'm saying? And he used to have to do different things and fish differently and eat different types of food. And you know what I'm saying? Like, when he sees the world differently, he wants to put that into his video game. So is that not you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the deal? Or these other companies they have other people that work for them now that say, yo, what if we make this character from somewhere else that's not, you know what I'm saying, Europe, maybe. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe let's make him something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if it was that simple? What if it was as simple as saying, hey, how about we give him like a lineup and a fade? You know what? Let's change his drip up a little bit. Maybe you could you know what? Let's just change this color of this palette right here. Let's just darken it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Make it make sense. Where is the issue?
But if you believe already that you are part of a race of people that are being erased from society, and that people are purposefully trying to, like, get you away from that, then of course it's going to be threatening to you. Of course you're going to be terrified by it. I mean, again, you have no reason to, because there are thousands and thousands of games that you can play where you can insert yourself into that narrative. But like, if you feel like you're already being attacked, or if you have been represented for this long, any amount of inclusion is going to feel like an attack. Any amount of it is going to feel that way. And to your point, the thing that gets me, they say go make your own games. They say go out and do your own stories. Don't take, and then when we do, you can't. I mean, I already know that South of Midnight, which is a wonderful game that's coming out. It looks gorgeous. It looks beautiful. It's in the swamp. I'm from Louisiana. I'm used to that setting. It looks amazing. When we make our own games, then they go make 30, 50-minute think pieces about the forced inclusion and diversity in them. Like, there's no way to win, because we're not fighting against people that, one, are on the same level of emotional intelligence as people who just enjoy games are, and two, that are just going to feel offended no matter what it is.
And we know who those people are, right? We have an idea of who those people are. I want to aim to talk to the people that are going along with it, who don't necessarily, they don't even look like the people in the background, right? They don't even know what their real mission is. They are just like, hey, I played a game. The game that I played wasn't fun. I've been playing a lot of games, actually, that wasn't fun. What's the reason? What's different? I think it's because of forced diversity. Maybe forced diversity is bad. Maybe these companies are focusing on checking boxes instead of making a quality product. Those people do exist who genuinely want good video games, but feel like companies are prioritizing something else instead of making a good video game. What do we say to those people who just heard this entire thing and say, I'm not racist? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm actually not. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it can't be that. You know what I'm saying? What is it?
I would say to them, like, there have been some objectively bad games that have come out, but the reason is not because of the inclusion of the characters. The reason is because, one, capitalism, which again, it just depends on how deep you want to think about it. They always say things like it's not that deep. It doesn't go that deep. I'm sorry if your thinking is shallow, but again, I'm supposed to be winning them over, so let me be nice. Because it's just hard, man. I'm tired, bro. I don't have the patience for this shit no more. I really don't. I'm sick of it because I know what it is. I know what the core of it is. I know exactly why these people are saying these things and they're getting away with it, and it annoys the hell out of me. But like, you cannot push for change if you yourself are angry and triggered, because then they talk about the way you're talking about it than what you're actually saying.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
what I would say to these people is that yes, there have been some games that have come out that have had that have included diverse characters, Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, that have made changes, artistic changes that you may not have agreed with. But the reason is not because of those people that are being included in the game. The reason is because gaming companies and publishers are trying to make money and they're cutting corners. And if you want to hear the real conspiracy, I feel like they do it in games with diverse characters, knowing that there are people who will blame the inclusion of those characters instead of the decisions that they made as a game company. Those are two completely different things. So, no, I'm not trying to say that everybody that's against forced diversity and inclusion is racist. What I am saying though is that look at the creative decisions going into the game. And then some of it is it's just hard to like show you that these are not the only games that are coming out. Balatro, for example, I hope I pronounced that right.
yeah,
Like there are
for sure.
tons of amazing games that have been released that you don't know about because your algorithm is just full of these ministers of anti wokeness that are just preaching the same things over and over and over again. You can't even tell that there are new games coming out that you would be interested in. Dustborn, Concord, and Suicide
Yeah,
Squad Kills
Suicide
the
Squad.
Justice League and Vanguard, Dragon Age Vanguard are not the only games to exist. There are wonderful games being
Thousands.
made by independent developers that you don't even know about because your algorithm is not primed to show them to you. I would say that those ministers, those they remind me of like the prosperity gospel preachers from like the Christian church, but they have so much incentive. If you really want to talk about conspiracy, they have so much incentive to keep you upset, keep you angry, and keep you mad so you keep coming back to their content and engaging and paying their bills. That is what the real conspiracy is to me.
And I say this all the time. If I was to, I can predict that every big AAA game will be like a failure. I will probably be right. You know what I'm saying? Like most AAA games, like are not gonna be the best games to you know what I'm saying of all time. There's hundreds of games being released every single day. A lot of them are will not see public appeal. A lot of them will not be extremely successful. Most of them are not great. Damn, I said I'm super quiet. Let me see. Let me see if I can update something real quick.
It's all good. We're rolling with it. It's just the spirit of anti wokeness in here. Yeah, the spirit of anti wokeness is trying to take us down.
You know what I mean? Trying to infiltrate. Turn my volume down. Am I better? Am I better? Am I better?
You sound good to me.
All right. There's a lot of games that's going to come out and it's going to be a failure. Um, my thing is, it's only why is it that when a game has forced diversity, that's the reason the game failed. But when a game doesn't have forced diversity, it has one of these background characters, then why isn't that the reason? I like Max Payne 1. Max Payne 3 was ass. Max Payne 2 was alright. But like, why aren't we blaming that? Immortals of Avium was not a good game.
No, it was not at all. I played it. No, it was not. It
It
was
was not a
not.
fantastic game. It also had a white MC. Why don't we come here and say, hey, I think we should start questioning whether or not white MCs have a place in gaming. I think if they didn't focus on making that MC, a typical white character like Days Gone, then maybe something would have been different.
Right. Right.
Why is that the case? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, The Last of Us too. I mean, I enjoyed the game, but like the storytelling and narrative clearly was not on par with The Last of Us one. But then they'll say it's because it was a woman character in the game, and then anything. That's what they'll go to next.
100% that what they're going to. But
Yeah,
like,
that's the next thing.
That's the thing, right? If for those people that's playing like a logic game, right? For the people that's playing, look, logically speaking in their head, or they like to use pattern recognition as their new buzzword
Hmm.
for whatever
I
reason.
know the group of individuals it is. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. My bad. You're
No, you
right.
got it.
Go
You
ahead.
got it.
Go
You
ahead.
100% got it. Cause I keep trying to adjust this mic. So there's some people that try and use the logic to balance
Hmm.
this out, right? They're saying, yo, look, games are failing, right? We see all these layoffs. Games also are pushing for diversity. Games also are just not as good nowadays. They're getting all of these things that are 100% true to someone, right? To someone, gaming isn't as good as it once was when you was a kid, right? That's just a factual thing. The gaming industry is not doing good right now. That's also just a true thing as far as mass layoffs, etc. That's a real thing that's happening. Um, but they're getting those people and they're saying, "Yo, this is the reason why you're unhappy, is because of this forced diversity stuff."
Hmm.
Back in the day, if you think back, we didn't have forced diversity. People just made whatever they made, and now we have it, and now things are bad. We didn't. It was good. We have it. Now it's bad. That's just it, guys. That's the thing.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, some
We
CEOs are laughing because they've just been stealing their money, terrible budgets, and riding off on a yacht.
Right. Right. I mean, we also didn't used to have live service games. We also didn't used to have day one DLC. We also didn't used to have a variety of things that are in gaming now. And yeah, you best believe that some of these CEOs are greenlighting games that I know are going to fail so they can have a nice tax write off at the end of the year. Like, it's but again, trying to be mindful because again, there are some people within that community who are just simply being duped, right? But within that pattern recognition, I have a high degree of logic. I know what's going on. I have a strong sense of justice community. I wish their sense of justice extended to their own biases. I wish they had the ability to self reflect and look at what's going on. But like the congregation of gamers is just being led astray, and that's why I feel like games aren't getting any better. Like they'll complain about AAA titles, but they'll still rush out to buy them as soon as they come out. Like I think a lot of it has to do with, and I mean no disrespect, but sometimes we as gamers can be quite lazy. And it takes effort for you to go and look up game companies, look up games that you're interested in, go do your own research. Don't just focus on the IGN 7. Find actual creators that you can follow that have similar views of you that can lead you towards games. I've led so many people towards Mass Effect like they didn't even know, and that game out came out in 2017, 2013 or something like that. Like there are good games out there that don't suffer from these problems. Why is it that you're just continuing to focus on what you don't like instead of trying to seek out what you could enjoy? Like I'll never understand that. I saw a guy today on TikTok live playing Marvel's Avengers, which a lot of people did not like. I didn't like it because of the repetitiveness, but the combos in that game, you can have fun. You really can. And someone came in and said, of all the games that you can play, you choose to play this trash game. And I'm like, what is the point of even saying that? My guy is clearly enjoying
Yeah,
himself.
yeah. That's one thing that I find baffling, but I also know why. But play the games that you support, then, right? If you don't want to see whatever you don't want to see in a video game, go play the games that have that. Why are you sitting here complaining, begging for them to not do it anymore? Go play the other games then. If you don't want a black character in your game, go play games with no black characters. It
They
shouldn't be hard.
exist.
Yeah,
They
it's really not.
exist.
Why are
They
you
exist.
going into this other game made by, a group of people who decided to put a black person in their game and complaining to them? You know what I'm saying? You're trying to just make them. They think that if they keep complaining enough, that it will just cease to exist.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you that will not happen. Okay?
Yeah.
People are making games now. I have friends who make games now. They will not allow every single game they work on to just be the same typical background character that you see right now. That won't
Hmm.
happen. You know what I'm saying? That's done. It's over. You know what I'm saying? Give that up. Different people make video games now. They're going to put what they want to see inside of those video games. That's really a big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating because the root of it is, and again, not even blaming the people that are caught up in it, but like the root of it is, it's just the root of it is racism, and it sucks to say. I know they don't want to talk about that. I know they say keep politics out of video games, but when you live in a, for example, in America, when you live in a country where like what is it, 57% of people read on a sixth grade level, and like something like 47% are functionally illiterate, like it's really easy. Like that's, you know what I think another thing is, diverse narratives require an ability to understand complex themes. I feel like some of it is that instead of like dealing with that feeling of discomfort they get because they can't understand the narratives, those games in the past were very simple. I'm a cop who drinks, I shoot people, time slows down, I like it. I'm a space marine. There are aliens. They're bad. You shoot the aliens. I like it. Like you see them complain about these things. Like I miss when villains were just evil just for the sake of evil. No one is evil just for evil's sake. I just don't believe it. There's always something in the
Yeah.
background that you can look at. That's why Thanos was such a good character. You know, even the Penguin that they're praising right now, he's just evil because he's just evil. If you pay attention to his story and see what happened, and not even in his own family, the context in which he was born, Gotham City, like
Yeah.
it makes sense. It makes sense. But they lack the ability to be able to understand the media literacy. They lack the ability to be able to understand that. And then they feel shame because they don't. And then they feel even worse when people like me, fed up and tired of them and don't want to coddle them and hold their hand, show them exactly why they're wrong about the way that they think.
100%. 100%. Because here's again, like you got those people that's literally racist, sexist, misogynist, all that fun shit. They're all of those things, homophobic. They're all those things. So there are people, those people are leading the discussion. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't get how in their heads the people that are following those people don't think to themselves, wait, I'm following a Clan member. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe their ideals don't like maybe this isn't the line
Right.
of thought that I want to go in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I sometimes have trouble choosing what game I want to play because I have so many. There's so many good games out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy how many games I've barely even started. 100%. But they can't talk about a lot of them can't talk about those good games that are out there because they won't make money off of it. They won't be
Right.
able to grift off of it. They have
Right.
to find the biggest, most popular game and they test the waters on it. There are many times, there's videos up right now about how Monster Hunter Wilds was gone woke. How Monster Hunter Wilds is like they're adding pronouns, etc. However, since that game was successful, they had to back down a little bit. They had to
Mm-hmm.
reverse their stance because they know they can't go up against a game that is successful, that is
Mm-hmm.
good. That's why they could hold on to the Concords. They could hold on to the Dustborns because those games fell. If you bring up a metaphor, Refantasio, who just released, who was just in a Washington Post interview saying that, yo, I made this game specifically to push people to become activists, to make a change, to literally, after ending this game, want to do something in the real world, like real life propaganda. You know what I'm saying? Like he really said that was the entire point of this. Like that's the point of this game. But that game's somehow not woke. That game's headline is diversity is their strength. They
Right.
literally are talking about racism in the game. Literally. There's an activist character in the game. But since that game is very successful, they say no, it's just about, you know, elves. It's not like real world fantasy, you know,
Yeah.
real world racism. That's the difference. Same
Yeah.
with Baldur's Gate 3, same with Silent Hill, same with so many games that they want to say is bad, but they can't because a lot of people like it.
Right. Right. And to your point earlier, when you were saying, like, why don't these people realize it? What I will say is that they do. Whenever those creators who were just grifters, whenever those creators slip up and do a live stream where they end up saying something that, like, you just cannot defend anymore. Like, I remember seeing comments where people were like, I thought this was about fighting the war against wokeism, and like, y'all are just out here straight up being racist, you know? And like, I remember speaking with someone, I asked them, I was like, well, how did you change your mind on this? And they were like, well, I realized that inclusion does not mean exclusion. It doesn't mean that I'm losing anything just because we're adding more people adding more people to the story. So yeah, I mean, it's really frustrating because video games should be for everyone. And while I agree, for a very long time they were targeted towards a specific demographic, partly because that demographic of people had the disposable income necessary to be able to afford consoles. It wasn't until consoles started to be more affordable for other people that we could even participate in it. I remember, for me personally, growing up, I hate this, but like every video game I had, like I see people with these gigantic collections of PlayStations and Sega Genesis and all the games. If I wanted a new game, I had to go trade in one that I had before. I didn't get to keep all of my games. The EB games, GameStop has all of mine. So like
Man,
for a while, being a gamer was a privilege. It was. But now that we have technology that is easily accessible to everyone, if you have a cell phone, you have a video game console, right? Like hell, if you have a refrigerator in some cases, like
right.
it's available and accessible to everybody. And yeah, it's just that small group of
What's
people.
the what's the opposite of diversity? On androgyny? What is that word? Androgyny?
I hang on, I got it. Uh, ooh,
Help us out in the chat. Let us know.
the opposite of diversity, homogenous. I think
Homogeneous.
it's homogenous. Yeah,
Homogeneous.
yeah.
I like to think of things called forced homogeny, where a character, a game, 100% would have been better had they thought outside their box, but instead they went with the same typical background character there, right? So I'm going to ask you a question, okay? Think of a game, this is going to be tough, but think of a game that had forced homogeny, um, that would have really been different if it just added a sprinkle bit of diversity. I'm gonna let you think. I'm gonna let you think. And in the meantime, everybody on YouTube, Twitch, make sure you post. I do want to hear about it. Lock in on us. You know what I'm saying? Follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, all that fun stuff. We're talking about games that have forced a homogeny. Okay. One of the games that come to mind for me is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
I think they introduced a brand new Jedi. They introduced a brand new character. They had some cool stuff going on, but they went with what is it, Caden? They went with that dude who they did not, and
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that was a decision that they forced themselves to make because they didn't want to branch out. But had they branched out and finally gave us a real cool new Jedi, that character would have been so fucking dope. So fucking cool. Do you have one for us? Or you need a little bit more
You
time?
know, I think I need a little bit more time. You got one
Okay.
more?
I got one more in me. There was a game that everybody loves to talk about because it was previewed, I think, at one of these E3s. It was called Dragonborn. It was you was riding around with a dragon. Does anybody in the chat know what I'm talking about? You was riding around on the dragon, but it was also based in like music. So like the dude had on headphones and he was like, I don't know what to call it, a hip hopper. I don't know, but he was white. You know what I'm saying? Like he was not. Clearly, they should have went with a character of color of some sort there. And also, I'm going to throw in Hi-Fi Rush. I feel like a cooler character would have been dope.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense too. I think Hi-Fi Rush
Mm-hmm.
is definitely a really good example. I can pull one from the past. I think. I don't know if you played L.A. Noir. L.A.
Uh,
Noir was a wonderful game
yeah.
that could have benefited from a little bit more diversity within the
Ooh,
cast. Like, I think it would have done wonderfully, especially
ooh.
in that setting back then. You could have touched on themes of racism. What you got? Did that bring up one for you?
No, no, that's a good one. I'm rocking with LA Noir because, again, when I think of Forest Homogeny, I think about games that they had to go a little bit out of their way to not add a person of character. And
Yeah,
LA Noir absolutely had to
yeah,
go out of their
yeah.
way to
Hmm.
not add a sense of diversity that is Los Angeles, even back then with
Right.
everything that was going on. They had to avoid those things. They avoided them intentionally on purpose. Somebody
Hmm.
said, "Are we going to tackle this?" And they said, "No, nah,
Nah, we're gonna leave that be.
yeah,
Gonna leave that
yeah,
be.
leave that alone."
I mean, Final
Uh,
Fantasy comes to mind too. I don't know which I think you could just put a number after it in Final Fantasy. Yeah.
yeah,
And there are a lot of JRPGs that are like Neon Cyber Samurai says some JRPGs are like this today.
yeah.
Absolutely. Like, and you see that a lot. I'm thinking of what's that Gooner game? And I was going to bring up this point
Stellar
earlier.
Blade.
Stellar Blade 1 and The Last Descendant. Because the same
Oh,
people that complain about diversity in video games, like, they get pandered to and they give all their money to these games that are nothing but just like I don't get it.
the
But
First
The
Descendant's a
Last
bad game.
Descendant, the
The
first
Last Descendant,
Descendant,
whatever, is a bad game. It's not
yeah,
a good game, guys.
it at all. It's clear. And did you hear about the update that they're doing? They're adding jiggle physics, which is one of the
Oh
most
yeah.
requested features. They said they can't fix their game, but they can add jiggle physics to it.
And
Like,
look,
but
you can have fun with the game. Okay, I'm going on a
yeah,
slight First Descendant rant. You can have fun with the game. I get it. That game is what you all call corporate slop for
it
Sony. Like that's it
is.
as a
It
game.
is. It
It's live
is.
service. It's pandering. It has tons of microtransactions.
So many.
They literally steal from other games like Destiny or
Destiny for
Warframe. Like
sure.
they have their actual assets into the game. It's corporate slop. They said let's pander to these gooners and to
Yeah.
much
And they
success.
bought it. And they bought it. They bought it. They took it and they ran with it. And like I just again, that's why it's so hard for me to be patient because like those are the group of gamers that we are dealing with. Like we're dealing with gamers that like, yeah, Dark Wolf Lord said they only ever okay with a female MC if she's very sexual, like Bayonetta. Like and it's ridiculous. We can have strong female characters. The way that they lost their mind over Lara Croft in the
Oh
new
yeah,
remakes where they toned it down. Those games were excellent. I
those were
love
really good Laura
they
Croft
were so
games. Those were
good.
really
It was
good.
so good. The shooting was great. The
Yeah,
gunplay was awesome.
the entire
The
environment, the
exploration was
vibes. Yeah,
cool.
the world was good.
Everything was cool. It was beautiful. And they're upset because her chest wasn't big, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
And
it's
I
not
wish
about
we
the
were
game.
just talking about longer. It's not. It's not at all. And I wish we were talking about like just immature younger gamers, but we're not. We see the celebrities, the ministers of anti wokeness.
Yeah,
We see them. We see what they look like, you know. And it's not just men. There are a lot of women that are on this
yep.
thing as well, which lets me know it's just a grift.
It's just 1000% a grift,
It's
right?
just a
Which is
grift.
it's so and it's so silly. Again, like the people that's trying to put one, two, and two together and figure things out. Like, all right, whatever, you're coming to the wrong conclusion, but like at the least, you're thinking for yourself. The grifters 100% know.
They
Like they're
know.
laughing at you. They're like
They know.
they go home and they laugh and they look at their subscribers go up, they look at their view count go up, they look at their likes go up, they look at the little checks that they get from social media, and
Hmm.
they're happy to do this grift to you, to trick you into some bullshit. Another reason why I'll say that they are, again, this whole thing is weird and tricked, right? They say force diversity. If it's bad, I can tell when they're forcing into a games, but like when it's good, I didn't know. Prime example of a good game, there's a few actually. Even if you don't think it's good personally, it's still massively successful and very popular to this day. Overwatch.
Yeah.
Overwatch made a point to make that game was forced diversity. Like they forced like every character to be of a different region. I think that in the original Overwatch they even fused like cultures together. Like they'll be from somewhere
Yeah.
else and then different culture. What they did all that for literally every single character. Massively successful. Street Fighter, same situation. They
Yep.
around the world. They made sure they picked different characters from around the world. Massively successful. Apex
Yep.
Legends, all types of sexuality and shit going on over there.
Yeah, for real.
Massively, massively successful, right? Like we don't. Why aren't these games talked about? It's because they're good, they're fine, and they're not an easy game to
Yeah.
grift on.
Yeah.
That and don't tell me they didn't focus on it. I promise you, you guys should learn a little bit more about video game development. But they had character creators. They had people whose job was to come up with the character design of the characters, right?
Hmm.
These are entire departments dedicated to figuring out these characters. They thought about it a lot. They figured it out. It was a part of their whole plan. And then they put them into the game. It was, by y'all definition, forced.
Yep.
Massively
Absolutely.
successful. So if you the logic is gone already, right? The situation that you thought in your head where if it's forced, it usually turns out bad. You can remove it because you don't know. So that theory is gone. Destroy that theory.
Right. And here's the challenge that I would like to issue. Like, I just wish they would say it with their full throat and chest. I wish they would just say how they actually felt. So if you're telling me that you believe that forced diversity is a thing, like, do so without letting your examples of diversity be CJ from San Andreas, without being Barrett from Final Fantasy, without
Jax from
being
Mortal Kombat.
Jax from Mortal Kombat, and like do it without that. Because I would, can I be 100% honest with you here? I would much rather them say, I don't want to see black people in my games. I don't want to see gay characters in my games. I don't want to see women beating up men in games. I don't want to see it. I don't think it's realistic. I would have so much more respect for them. Like I really would. And the grifters, the ministers of the anti-wokeness, I think that's what I'm gonna start calling them. You can always tell the grift is so obvious. For example, if you go look at, for example, Smash JT, if you go look at his channel
Hmm.
and go to his earliest videos were just of him playing games. He was playing Cuphead. I remember it. He was playing Cuphead and he seemed very normal, chill, just enjoying the game, wasn't standing up screaming about anti-wokeness or none, I mean wokeness or none of this stuff.
Hmm.
Like he was just playing games. And when that does not work, they make a switch to starting to talk about forced diversity because it's so lucrative because there's not a lot of people out here speaking out against them. But I would respect them so much more if they just came out and said, keep niggas out of games. Like, I'd be
Right.
so happy. I really would because at least I know where you're coming from.
Facts.
But like to hide behind words like forced diversity and inclusion, to hide behind words like it's just
DEI.
cowardly. They're
Yeah.
cowards. They're just cowards.
You're 100% correct. And that is the case for just about every single one of them. All of the big ministers of the situation, they all started off doing something very different.
Chill.
All of their work looked very different, but it didn't get the numbers. So they had to do what they do now, which is grift. And you can tell as well because they can't stray away from the grift.
Nope.
They can't make a regular video. They can't talk about a good game that they just liked because they can't
Right.
because they tried and it failed. So they have to feed you rage on top of rage on top of rage. You guys, most of you anyway, know about this situation. You heard about it outside of video games, about the news feeding you fear and rage. What do you think they are doing? The same exact thing. But that's why we try to have conversations like this, the Mindful Gamer and 8-Bit Closed Fist. We try to have this conversations about video games in a real honest way. Uh, Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Twitch. Check us out everywhere. Mindful Gamer and 8-Bit Closed Fist. You know what I'm saying? Lock in, tap in.
For sure.
Um, but yeah, so and I also I'll be wondering like, what does a non woke game even look like?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what does a what are their games that are like free? Oh, it's Black Myth Wukong for some reason.
Yep. For sure. That one.
Yeah, it's Black Myth
Yeah.
Wukong. It's Space
Had nothing to
Invaders.
do with the developers, allegedly saying some pretty terrible remarks about women. Had nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
It was just, and I mean, again, you can look at Black Myth Wukong and like objectively, it is a good game. Like it looks like a ton of fun. It really does.
sure.
Um, but yeah, that's
No
what
skin
it.
on my back.
That's what those
Fun.
games.
I
Yeah,
play it.
yeah. I'm not gonna start. I didn't make a 30, 50 minute video, hour long video about how much I didn't like it because of what the developer said. Um,
You know that Alex Jones guy. He has a game, the conspiracy game.
really.
I mean, obviously you don't know about it because it's terrible and it's ass and no one cared. But that would be considered a right wing game. It's on Steam. I
There was
can't.
supposed to be a right wing game jam, but then they got upset with each other in the community because they were like, some people were saying, well, we're not supposed to just do the opposite of what they're doing. People might come in and say we're doing the same thing, creating a safe space, for us to have it. No one cares. Like, have it. The entire community has been your safe space the entire time. Like, just have it.
100%. The Dark Wolf Lord said they try so hard. They just straight up lie. Like, dude, Try to say there was no white dudes in Conquer, but all you had to do is look up the character roster and see that there was a white dude. Yeah, yeah. No,
Absolutely.
it's they be obvious like they be holding on to Conquer like it's fucking. I don't know. They ain't gonna be talking about Conquer for years to come, boy.
And Dustborn for sure.
And Dustborn, years to come,
Yeah,
despite all the other awesome games that are coming out. South of Midnight is going to attract a crowd
it is.
for having a certain female person of color is also black. Yeah, 100%. And it sucks. It sucks, right? Because even if your mission was to like make games better, to push for games, now you're just shooting out strays. You're just machine gunning every single game that comes out, every single honest game that comes out. If games were forced diversity, South of Midnight is the opposite of that. This is just someone who really wanted to create this since the beginning. You know what I'm saying? This was their goal to create this. They've been making video games and they wanted to create this, and they had people come onto the team to help him tell this story.
What does it take away from? Like they keep saying, make your own games, and we do. Tales of Zarzal, South of Midnight, we make our own games, and then they still come after them. Like, when will they be happy and satisfied? Like, what do they want to see? Like, I don't understand with the abundance of games that are out there, how they can sit and find games to just be mad about. Like, it's not hurting you. There's no money being taken away from another project to fund this game. Like, just ignore it.
Yeah, yeah, and they can't. They can't. They need to be the spotlight, and the grifters got to grift. You know what I'm saying? I've been trying to push for a few of these games. Metaphor Refantasia has been talked about since forever. I will be talking about that game until a new one comes out. But I need people to play that game. It's everything. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just everything. It's everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's so intentional. It's perfectly timed. Jesus Christ. They're really doing a similar thing to maybe like 10 years ago when they tried to keep women from games, the Gamergate, all that. You're not a real gamer girl rhetoric. It's just hate keeping. Yeah, hate keeping. And my thing too is like, okay, what do they think they're gatekeeping here? Like, what do you think they're not? You're not stopping anyone from playing the game or from entering the medium, from entering video games, just because you say you don't like a game. Like, that's not gatekeeping. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not stopping anyone from playing video games at all. Like, you can say you hate every single game. It don't matter. You're not stopping me from playing a game. Like,
Right.
that's not gatekeeping anything. People, new gamers are still coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to give them no tips, but the real gatekeeping is just them seeing how toxic all of y'all are and them just
Right.
not wanting to be involved in the medium
Right.
at all.
For sure. And that sucks because they think that that's how gamers are, and like real gamers who just enjoy, like, I mean, to be a gamer in the first place is to be a part of a, again, there are other forms of oppression, but when we're talking about media, no other form of media gets the level of like hatred and blamed for mass shootings and all of those things. When is the last time someone said a book is the reason why someone decided to do school
Right.
shootings? Like, video games get blamed for this all the time. Like, you're already part of an oppressed class of media enjoyment. Like, why would you want to add more to that? Like, it takes a certain kind of person to be interested in video games. It takes a certain kind of attitude to be able to sit down and enjoy, living in a new world. And that's why I truly think that a lot of them, it's not like they're not enjoying the games. They're just playing the mechanics. It's just particle effects and cool combos to them. Like, they can't tell you the story. Like, it's like someone playing the entirety of Detroit Become a Human and then coming out of that game thinking that it's okay to still oppress people. Like, I don't understand how you can't.
it's a it's so many different reasons going into it, right? It's actual bigotry, it's actual school system, right? They actually don't comprehend shit. They actually don't have
Yeah.
literacy. There's capitalism going on. You know what I'm saying? There's bait and switches going on with these companies, like not wanting you to know that it's just greedy CEOs that's fucking you over, not some
Yeah.
random character, skin color. It's lack of knowledge into video games. I always say
Yep.
that like something that's very interesting with gamers and game development is like most people who really really love music, who's passionate about music, they like dabbled in creating it in some way, shape, or form, right? Like at least a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They dabbled into
Right.
like creating music. Same thing goes with like photography, art, um, film, right? Someone really loves film. Chances are they did a little, they looked into it. At least they looked into the back end of it. Not to say that they tried to do it professionally, but they looked into the back end, the behind the scenes, etc. When it comes to video games, gamers do none of that. Like, I have seen so many gamers trash talk like a social media manager who made a tweet and say you're so busy tweeting, like go fix the game. And I know some of it is joke, but a lot of that is like they think that they are too busy making tweets to fix their game.
Yep.
That's just a random dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people don't understand that, like, the art design team or the team who does the flowers and paintings in the background of a game is completely different from the person who
Yep.
does the combat, who is different from a person who develops the story or even does the dialogue. Or
Right.
there's so many different aspects, and gamers have no clue as to how any of that
And
works.
you can tell that that's true because they'll say things like IGN gave this game a 7. No, the person that works for IGN who
Yes.
reviewed that game gave that game a 7. Like you can tell the level of like comprehension among some gamers. Like they truly just do not get it. And again, that's not their fault. That is a failure of our education system. That's a failure of them being unable to think critically. Like it's a failure of all of those things. And so when again you have these ministers of the anti woke that like know that they think that way and then create content that elevates their thought and makes it seem like it's intelligent, then they follow it. They follow it. They follow it without ever even thinking about it. It is the playbook that religions have used for the longest time.
Yep. That is actually how it works, right? A little bit of charisma, what I'm saying, make it sound cute, and they all
Hmm.
falling for it. Where if you just look into it just a little bit,
A little
uh,
bit.
it would help. It would change everything, right? Even as far as they don't understand a lot of the differences between publishers, developers, any of that. It's bad. But if there was a game, given that situation we were just talking about, but if there was a game to like that you would like a documentary off of that can like really like that you just want to know the minds behind that game, the process behind that game, right? How they come up with these things and can help inform gamers on, what I'm saying, a little bit of insight on how the industry works that they love. What's one of the games that you would like to see created, or the documentaries for a game
Mm.
that you would like to see created? I'll go first. Give you a little bit of time to think. Um, I would love to see a cyberpunk documentary, or
That's what I
maybe
was
even
gonna
the
say.
next guy. But cyberpunk, because there's just a lot of things that happened with that game. There's a lot of industry, like publisher, investor things, decisions that had to be made. I would love a documentary that talks about the reasoning behind those decisions. Even because I worked for like quality assurance for like Square Enix for like a month, literally. Like it was nothing. But like
Mm.
they have game companies in general. They have a list of bugs. Like they know all the lists of like a ton of bugs. We're telling them all the time. I would like some insight onto how they prioritize those things. And I'll say one more thing, and I'll get to your question. Gamers are so ignorant, and I don't mean this negatively, just factually. Like they're so unaware of how the industry works. Back in the day, Counter Strike had an issue with like people who thought they was experiencing lag. People was playing it, and you see their ping, right? So they was like, "Fuck, we don't really know how to fix this ping." This is back in the early days, like back when it was damn near mod still. They didn't know how to fix the ping. So what they did is they just did like negative 500 ping on everybody. So they just said, just change the number, subtract it by 500, and just fix everybody. It could have been like 50, whatever, but like subtract it from everybody's. They implemented it, and everybody, all the gamers, players were like, "Yo, this is way better." Like, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm playing smoother now. Like, thank you. The only reason why they found out is because since they just did a universal negative whatever number, some people was literally had negative ping. So it was like, how do I have negative ping, right? But that just goes to show like gamers don't really understand like how shit works. You know what I'm saying? How easy they are succumb to just that ignorance, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and that reminds me of whenever they had the Whopper, they were going to call it a third pounder, but people
Hmm.
thought that a third was smaller or what? Yeah, 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 it was worse. Was
Right.
worse. Yeah, 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 yeah. So they started calling it a quarter pounder. Like it's unfortunate because you have to make video games. They have to be geared towards like you can never account for the user. You know, there are so
Hmm.
many stories where, like, I know for a time, like, I've done live streams before where people have complained that my video is choppy and, like, it's their phone, it's their internet connection. I can't hear you well enough. Turn up the volume on your phone, you know? And, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really frustrating. Thinking about the answer to your question, though, like what game would I like to see the development process behind? I'm gonna say any of those games that are behind you right now. Like I want to
Hmm.
know what went into your thought process in creating this game. I want to know, for example, what was the decision in Mass Effect when it first came out to portray the main character as a white man and a white woman. I want to understand why you did that. I want to know what that was about. Like why? Why did you choose that? I want to know why the main character of Metal Gear Solid had to be a white man. I'd like to understand that. Give me some insight into it. You know,
Yeah.
in
Infamous.
Quantic Infamous in Quantum Dreams games, like explain that to me. Why are we not demanding explanations for those things? Like I would love to understand what you were afraid of. Was there anybody on your team that said, for example, with Mass Effect, maybe you could have multiple different versions of Commander Shepard in the marketing so that we can see that we can make our own character? You know, I would love to understand, is that something that is even thought about or put into? And yeah, that would be that would be what I would want to know. Like, what are those conversations like?
Yeah, yeah. No, that'll be good, right? Nathan Drake, Uncharted,
Mm-hmm.
you know, saying Mad Max, like a lot of these again, infamous, because I feel like at that time they really had to like force themselves to like think outside of like just a
Mm-hmm.
simple, you know what I'm saying, typical character. They really had said, all right, you know what? I want to make this character even like let's go all the way back to like Metroid and Samus. Um, the dude, the person, whoever I forgot his name, who created that, he was like, I just wanted something different. I literally just didn't want, you know, a dude to be playing them. I just wanted to switch it up a little bit. And I feel like that's probably the case with a good amount of them. They was like, but most of them was just like, I don't know, why would I not make them that color? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, well, why not? You know. But also, I'm sure a lot of it is also like this demographic. You know what I'm saying? Like, we trying to get this amount of people from this region, and these are the people that's spending the bucks. So
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do.
I get it, and that makes sense. You know, I think a lot of publishers are scared. I have a hunch that Solid Snake is who he is because Kojima knows who's causing all the problems. You're not the hero in those games. That's a good point, Frank. And I also find it
Kojima,
really
yeah,
funny that that there's so many games where like you're not the hero in Helldivers 2. You're
yeah,
not. You're not. It's so obvious, you know. But they're just more concerned about again their representation than being able to understand what it is that they're representing. And yeah, I hope it gets better, but I don't think it does until either games start taking that leap of faith and stop catering towards that specific and pandering to that specific demographic, or more creators like us and people that I've seen that are out here playing games that they enjoy start introducing people to the world of indie games. There are a lot of indie games that rival and that they'll never be able to rival their budget, but the
hmm,
stories that they tell, the mechanics they have in them, like it rivals some of those games. I know for one for me that I really enjoyed that I can't wait to get back into was Flintlock. Flintlock
hmm,
was Dark Souls. I mean, you're flying through the air, you're shooting a gun, like it's beautiful, man. And it has a woman as a main character, and they hated it. They hated it
yeah,
just for that simple fact, you
right,
know. So I think we have to just either get the people that can be saved and just ignore that part of the community until they do something that again, those grifters that I'm talking about, one day they're going to get pushed to a point where they're going to have to do and or say something that is going to clearly align them with the group that everyone that's watching doesn't realize that they're aligned with, and after that it's over, and we're
yeah.
starting to see that happen now.
Yeah, I agree. They're backing themselves into a corner to the point where like they're just gonna have to get more and more extreme. They're gonna have to get more and
Mm-hmm.
more dramatic because I don't think this is gonna stop. Even if, let's just say, even if they were successful and games start saying, "Hey, let's change this now," it's still 5 years away from results. You know what I'm saying? Like games
Yeah,
take so long to make. Like
they do.
it's over by time. You know what I'm saying? Like you're out of high school or you're out of college or you know what I'm saying? People are in an entirely different space. So that even if this did work, it would take six, you know what I'm saying, 5 years before they seen the results, which is just not really efficient in changing anything. But on top of that, I agree. Right, we just got to keep having these conversations, keep talking about good games. You know what I'm saying? Another fantastic game is David Diver. It is. Um, but keep doing fun shit. Keep talking about cool shit. I know you're doing a lot of cool shit over there in your Discord. So talk about it just a
Yes.
little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I in response to some, because again, we're talking about this. I think one thing that's going to happen with gamers from that community, they have fucked around and they are about to find out. Because our dear leader Trump was reelected, which is fine. But they think, I saw this comment where it was like, yes, Trump's going to go after the woke games. No,
Yeah.
a game like Stellar Blade or The First Descendant or uh, DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball, all these Gooner
First
games that
talking about
they
the first.
love so much, those are going to be the first games to be gone. And then they're going to come for your first person shooters because of violence in schools. They
Yep.
love to blame video games for violence. Like we're about to see a lot. And it's so funny because we see this same sort of fuck around and find out happening in other areas of people's lives. Like you can see so many people are realizing, oh my God, I didn't realize that's what we're coming for. I mean, I think I've even heard some pastors talk about how video games go against Christian values. I remember one of them
Oh,
saying that
clearly.
Minecraft is a gateway to demonic possession. So a lot of these gamers are about to find out. And so I decided that before all this happens, let me set up a church community where, and we are in the process of looking around February of next year to get solidified as an actual church, but a church that is based on using video games for personal growth and development and community. It's called the Church of New Game Plus. It is really, really awesome. We have 1,200 members on our Patreon. We have 664 in our Discord, and it is extremely active. There are people that are holding live streams. There are people that are helping out other gamers. We have advice. We have gaming selfies. We have gaming conversations. And if you'd like to join, it's patreon.com/Derek the Mindful Gamer. It is $1 to get in our community, and if you don't have $1, you just shoot a message, answer a few questions, and we'll let you in. But we want to make sure that the community is valued, and then we can keep creating wonderful content. I do sermons every Sunday, and it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, that's what I'm doing because they're coming for the games. It's just going to be so funny when they realize like Trump is not going to go after the games you're considering woke. He's going to go after all of them because
Why
they
would
mean no
he?
difference. Yeah,
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 yeah.
they mean no difference
Why would he? Come on, let's be realistic. You think
for
he's gonna
sure.
siphon through these different games? And like, oh, look,
Yeah,
this one
no.
has a. Come on,
Mm-mm.
he's gonna
Nope.
go for the biggest, most outlandish ones. And guess what? Y'all have been posting about Stellar Blade boob physics for a
The
year
whole
straight now.
time.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
The
he's gonna
whole
Google that
time.
real quick, and that's
Easy.
gonna pop up. Make sure y'all follow the Mindful Gamer. Join the community. There's some good stuff going over there for me. Check out my YouTube.
Yeah, what you
Follow
got?
up. You know what I'm saying? I'm posting some more videos over there. I just dropped an impressions video of Avowed, the new
I
RPG
saw that.
from Obsidian coming out. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. It's fun. But also be on the lookout for Checkpoint the Show, which should be releasing eventually. You know what I'm saying? It's coming. We finished up the first episode. We're starting up on the second episode. We're just gonna drop it so that we can drop multiple at a time, so that y'all got something to watch, so that y'all can really lock in on some good video game discussions. It's kind of like G4, Attack of the Show, those same vibes.
Yes.
We're just talking about cool video games and different mechanics and fun shit like that. Make sure y'all tap in. A Big Close Fist and the Mindful Gamer. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to leave them with?
I mean, just at the end of the day, man, I have faith that we're gonna get past this as gamers. I don't know who started it. I don't know where it started. Like, I wish I could go back and look and see. But at some point, somebody decided it's better to just talk about why we like. Imagine gamers talking about the hatred they have for games. Like, come on, man. How this is completely and totally backwards, you know? So I
Absolutely.
do think that as we continue to have conversations and discussions like this, build communities, build shows like Checkpoint the Show, I feel like as we continue to do this, we're gonna get back on track. We are. We're absolutely gonna get back on track to where we can have actual discussions. Like, do stamina bars belong in video games? You know,
Which I
so
feel
we can
like, you know,
have
I feel like that's an easy conversation. Everyone knows that, you know,
yeah. Yeah,
it
whatever,
shouldn't
man.
be in there.
Whatever,
You know
man.
what I mean? Tap in, y'all. This was another show Sunday. We'll start to come up with a name and all that fun stuff eventually. Maybe y'all can help us out with that.
Yeah, leave us some
Yeah, so
ideas.
lock in with us. Thank you. It's been fun. We're out of here.
See you soon.